All right.
Yeah. So as I was saying, I the republic. A lot of people will say our democracy happened January 6th of 2021. Our democracy was under attack. First off, we can all agree at this point that there was a show trial on that. The whole thing, like whatever, it was a protest that got out of control. Not good, not good. Whatever. Violence is bad. I don't really even think it was that violent. Sue me. Um, but the problem is I don't ever think that we have lived in a democracy. Really, we've always been a constitutional republic, but the Constitution hardly exists anymore. You
We
might as
were
well
a
use that as toilet
constitutional
paper at this
republic
point.
all the way up until 1900. Once
Yeah, I mean, you
once
might as
the
well use the
Federal
Constitution as
Reserve
toilet paper.
once the Federal Reserve was created, the Constitution was thrown out the window.
I mean, it's the take the Second Amendment's a really good example. Shall not be infringed except for insert all of these provisions
Right.
basically that have been introduced since
Right.
whenever. Because now if I wanted to go get a firearm, I've got to get a license, I've got to do this and that and background checks. And a lot of conservatives are part of the problem. They're like, well, yeah, of course I believe in background checks. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like, does it say that in the Second Amendment? Like, shall not be infringed except for you must pass a provisional background check and then make sure you can't have a bump stock and you have to have this amount of ammo. And just where does it say that?
Every
Like, am
gun
I
law is
missing? Like,
unconstitutional.
I don't particularly want a schizophrenic man running around shooting rounds off in the middle of the night and killing people, but like, once you set a law there, then like you get to people like me who are regular law-abiding citizens, and they're like, well, this one time you did have a
Because
speeding ticket, so.
we're the only
And,
ones
and you
that
know
are
what?
going
That's
to
not even
abide by the
outlandish.
law, though. The
Yeah, of course, of
law-abiding
course.
citizens are the only ones that are going to abide the law. So I'm going to give liberals the benefit of the doubt. At least I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm assuming they mean well, right? So I'm assuming they think that criminals
For the
get
most part, I agree.
well, I'm assuming that they think that criminals get their guns legally, which obviously they don't. So,
Some of them,
therefore,
for sure.
if you make a law, they're already criminals. So, therefore, they're not afraid to break the law. So, if you're going to put more restrictions and more laws, the only people that are going to abide by them are the law abiding citizens.
Yeah, of course.
Therefore,
If they're gonna
you're
murder somebody,
only
they don't care about a gun law.
right. Therefore, they're only making it harder for law-abiding citizens to protect themselves from the criminals that are not out to abide by any gun laws, right? I mean,
Yeah, of course, of
they.
course.
But the thing
If my
is
end
they.
goal with that gun is to murder somebody, I obviously don't care about that gun law.
Right.
Like, if somebody's set out to, I'm gonna go shoot people with this gun and kill the person, which is besides raping children, murder is like the most obscene crime you can do. If you're gonna do that, you obviously don't give a damn about a gun law, not
Right.
even a little bit.
Right.
So but that's just kind of where we're at, because like, are we at the end of the
Well,
republic?
yes.
There's so
Well,
many provisions now. There's so many like pseudo provisions now to the Second Amendment where it's like it basically should say they should just rewrite it and say shall not be infringed except for this, because shall not be infringed in my eyes is shouldn't be infringed. I should be able to have as many guns as I want whenever I want, up into including nuclear arms if I wanted them.
but hang on.
I'm not a
Laws.
proponent of that.
I
But
think. Listen. I think that I am. I really am. I really think that any, especially in the U.S., if you are a citizen of the U.S., you should have access. Not, I mean, obviously, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. But obviously, a
yep.
nuclear bomb is going to be very expensive. So obviously, there's only a very minute amount of people that can afford a nuclear bomb. But regardless, I think the point of the Second Amendment was to keep the people armed, so their own government and other foreign governments couldn't take them over or murder them or do whatever, right? So if we are only allowed to have these pauper weapons and they're allowed to have these great big government military weapons, obviously it doesn't matter if we have our little ARs. If they have nukes, they could end it, right? But if there's the threat of multiple people having them, like it's like the thing of saying like you can't have a gun on a plane. if a terrorist jumped up and said, "I'm going to take this plane over," and 13 people jumped up and pointed their guns at him, he'd sit his ass back down, and he would stop, right?
Maybe. That one's. I think that's a long-winded debate that you and I could probably do a whole 2-hour show on one of these times once we get rolling with more shows. But I just, I think you and I agree that the way that they've robbed our constitutional amendments and rights from us is crazy. Like, we're at the point now where there's the First Amendment is there, obviously, because those are the most basic ones: your freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press. But the Second Amendment is there to safeguard the First Amendment, of course. And so it's very funny to me how people would say things like, "Oh, Donald Trump is a fascist. Donald Trump is akin to Hitler." And then I'm like, "Yeah, you should own a gun." But they're so anti-Second Amendment. Like, if you actually genuinely believe that your leader is akin to Hitler, wouldn't you like a gun to protect yourself from him?
Yeah.
And so many people were like, well, guns are dangerous, and well, if you're pro-life, why are you for people owning guns to shoot up schools? Well, I mean, you're really reaching a bridge across the Atlantic Ocean.
Let me make one point that will destroy every single liberal argument. So liberals are for gun laws, and they're against people owning, maybe not, I'm not even going to say against people owning guns outright, but they're at least against people, civilians, owning military-style weapons, right?
What does that even mean?
Regardless. Okay, they're against ARs, okay?
Which is not a military.
If you went against AR-15s,
I'm sorry, if you went to war with an AR, I think you and I both know that if you went to war with an AR, you'd get blown away.
Hang on, let me make this point. They're against people owning any kind of lethal weapon, pretty much. They want you to own your double-barrel shotguns, and that's all they want because it's for hunting. But
they don't even want that.
But these liberals, these Democrat and establishment liberals, are the same people that want to send money and weapons to Ukraine so they can fight against Russia.
Yeah, I agree, for sure.
They're the same people that want to put $100 billion into sending weapons to Ukraine, but they want to restrict us from owning weapons.
Yeah, that's fair. That's, of course, yeah. Just so our listeners are clear, I'm totally anti anything Ukraine. I could give two craps about Ukraine. I think they're the second most corrupt country on earth behind the United States. I'm not particularly a fan of Russia. I don't know enough about Russia. I don't care about Russia, but I certainly don't care enough about Ukraine to send them $350 per American, not per taxpayer, per American. I don't care about that. But that's besides the point. The other point, of course, is that I wanted to make is I want to kind of clarify your language here. We need to be careful about the language that we use because liberals play a lot of semantic games. When you say liberal, and I just did it myself. We need to stop using the term liberal so much and say leftist instead, because there's a difference between liberals and leftists. Liberals like guns. Liberals own guns. Liberals like to have guns. Leftists are authoritarian thugs. And there's a difference. There's a delineation. I think that the people that are in the liberal camp are shifting, though, because those that are liberals are actually becoming conservatives. And if not, a smaller minority are becoming far leftists. And they're not really becoming conservatives in a sense, but they're just saying, wow, the left is insane. They're insane.
Yeah, I still tend to disagree. I think because liberals are 50-50.
And we can get into that later in the show because I have a bullet point that I want to talk about, conservative versus libertarianism. But, I
don't mean libertarian. I mean liberal.
Well, what's the root word of libertarian? Liberty,
not liberal.
Liberty. And liberal as liberty. Same. It's the same mechanism, though. You're all talking about the same stuff. You just have different opinions on the nuanced issues, which is fair.
But hang on. I'm not talking about the actual root meaning of the word. I'm talking about people that identify as these terms.
I knew this would get you going.
I'm not talking about the meaning of liberal or the meaning of libertarian or the meaning of leftist. I'm talking about the people that identify as these words.
Yeah, I know. I knew it would get you going now.
Self-identify, because I'm not. I would identify everyone to the left of center as liberal. I usually do.
Yeah, I mean, so we got 1 more minute before we got to take a break real quick, but. So, are we at the end of the Republic? I kind of want to short this one up before the next break. You know what? we're not a republic anymore. We're an oligarchy at its
Yes.
base roots.
It's
Like
it's
we're
either an
technically a
oligarchy or a
republic.
banana republic.
Yeah, and so we're technically a republic. Everybody gets to go out and vote every 2 years or whatever, and everybody's like, "Yippee doo dah! I voted for my guy." I don't know if I believe that anymore. Um, it's just there's an oligarchy because there's so many people that are non-elected officials that work for the CDC, FBI, whatever. They just get appointed by somebody that I never elected them. Like I
Let,
live in New York. I never elected Kathy Hochul that first time, but
yeah.
you know,
Let me make a quick
it's to
point.
me, it's not really a republic anymore.
I think that everything is going to crumble, but I think we are at the end of whatever we are in, but I think we are going to come back stronger with better values. All right, let's end it here.
Yeah.